Welcome to the Senior Health video. This video will talk about 8 early brain tumor warning signs you must not ignore. Have you ever felt a strange headache that did not feel like your usual stress or sinus pain? A kind of pressure that made you wonder if your body was trying to tell you something important. Many people brush off these early signals because life is busy and symptoms seem harmless at first. Yet this quiet moment of doubt is often the exact point where awareness can make the biggest difference. You deserve to understand what your body is saying, and you deserve to feel safe rather than confused. That is why this message begins with a simple truth. Your brain never sends a warning without a reason. What many people do not realize is that brain tumors often start with small clues that are easy to ignore. And by the time symptoms feel serious, the situation can already be more advanced. This is why doctors across the United States urge people to pay close attention to changes that feel unusual or persistent. You might think you are just tired or stressed, yet the National Brain Tumor Society reports that tens of thousands of Americans each year discover a tumor only after months of unexplained symptoms. Early signs are often soft whispers rather than loud alarms, and understanding these whispers can protect your health long before danger reaches its peak. You are not here by accident. You are here because something inside you wants clarity. You want answers you can trust. You want to know which signs matter, which ones are urgent, and how to tell the difference between something minor and something that needs attention right now. That is exactly what you will get. In the next few minutes, you will learn the 8 subtle signs that experts watch for when evaluating possible brain tumors. Each sign will be explained in clear and simple language so you can understand what your body is communicating. By the end, you will feel informed, prepared, and confident about the next steps for your health. Number 1, persistent headaches. When you think about headaches, you probably picture stress tension or a long day catching up with you. Yet persistent headaches linked to brain tumors follow a pattern that feels different, and this difference is exactly what your body wants you to notice. These headaches often appear early in the morning when you wake up, and they may feel like a deep pressure inside your skull, rather than the familiar throbbing you get from dehydration or work fatigue. As you try to move through your day, you may realize that regular pain medication offers little to no relief, which is one of the earliest clues doctors pay attention to. The connection is simple yet serious. When abnormal cells grow inside the brain, they increase pressure on surrounding tissues, and that pressure creates a type of pain that refuses to fade even when you try your best to rest. This becomes even more important when you notice that lying down makes the pain worse instead of better, a reaction caused by changes in cerebrospinal fluid as you sleep. Some people also experience sudden vomiting without nausea, which is a red flag that often surprises them because it feels so out of place. Research from major neurological centers in the United States shows that patients who ignored these early pressure-based headaches waited months before seeking help, and those delays made treatment harder and outcomes more complicated. You deserve to understand the difference between a common headache and a warning signal, because early recognition gives you a better chance to act before symptoms become overwhelming. If you notice that your headaches have changed in intensity, frequency, or pattern, especially if they wake you from sleep, or worsen when you cough, sneeze, or bend forward, it is time to take this seriously. These are not symptoms to push aside or explain away. They are your body asking you to pay attention. Just ask the people who finally went to their doctor after weeks of relentless morning pain, only to learn that their brain had been under pressure long before the symptoms became severe. But knowing this alone is not enough, because there is another sign even more deceptive and far easier to overlook. Number 2, speech difficulties. After understanding how persistent headaches can act as an early alarm, the next sign flows naturally into something even more unsettling because it affects how you express yourself. When your brain struggles, your words often struggle first. Speech difficulties linked to brain tumors show up in ways that feel strangely out of character. And this subtle shift is exactly why so many people underestimate it. You may notice that simple sentences suddenly take more effort, or that familiar words slip out of reach as if your brain and mouth are no longer working together. What makes this sign so concerning is that it often begins quietly, showing up during normal conversations when you least expect it. You might understand everything around you perfectly, yet producing clear speech feels slower, heavier, or unexpectedly fragmented. Doctors across the United States explain that the areas responsible for language sit deep within the left hemisphere, and when even a small mass begins pressing on these regions, your ability to form or understand words becomes disrupted. This does not always appear dramatically. Sometimes the change is so mild that only those close to you notice. They may ask why you are pausing more often, why your sentences sound shorter, or why your tone feels different. Neurological studies show that early language impairment is one of the most overlooked symptoms because people often blame stress or exhaustion. Yet when these changes appear repeatedly, they serve as powerful biological signals that something in your brain needs attention. If you find yourself speaking in short phrases, losing track of your thoughts mid-sentence, or using incorrect words without realizing it, take notice. These shifts can indicate that the brain is working harder than usual to access language pathways, and the sooner you recognize this, the better your chances of addressing the underlying cause. Some individuals describe moments when they tried to speak but could only form vague or unrelated words, and they later learned that these episodes were early signs of pressure on their language centers. It is a reminder that your voice can reveal what your body has been trying to communicate for weeks. But even understanding this still is not enough, because the next sign can strike without warning and carries a level of urgency that no one should ever ignore. Number 3, seizures. Now that you understand how speech changes can reveal hidden pressure inside your brain, it becomes even more important to recognize the next sign, because seizures are one of the most dramatic and urgent warnings your body can give you. When people hear the word seizure, they often imagine extreme shaking or a complete loss of control. Yet brain tumor-related seizures frequently begin in far quieter and more surprising ways. You might feel a brief muscle twitch in your face or arm, a sudden wave of dizziness, or a strange rush of emotion that appears out of nowhere. These short episodes may last only a few seconds, but they can signal that your brain is struggling with abnormal electrical activity caused by growing pressure inside a specific region. Doctors across the United States explain that seizures linked to brain tumors often start as focal events, meaning they affect only one area of your body or one sense. You may remain fully awake and aware while your hand shakes uncontrollably, or while you experience an unexplained visual flash. Many people ignore these early episodes because they seem small, or because they assume they are due to stress, dehydration, or lack of sleep. However, neurological research shows that when seizures appear for the first time in adulthood, they require immediate attention since they are rarely random and often indicate an underlying structural change in the brain. You may also notice moments of confusion where your mind feels disconnected from your surroundings, or you repeat small movements without realizing it. These events can be alarming, yet easy to dismiss if they stop quickly. The key point is simple. The brain never produces a seizure without a trigger, and when the trigger is a tumor, early detection can make a life-changing difference. People who share their stories often described a single unusual episode, such as a brief stare or a sudden arm jerk, which they ignored until a more severe seizure forced them to seek help. Recognizing the first small signs offers you the chance to act early, but only understanding seizures is still not enough, because the next warning can quietly reshape the way you see the world in ways far easier to miss. Number 4, vision problems. As seizures can arrive like sudden electrical sparks in your brain, the next sign often unfolds more quietly, yet it can be just as revealing. Vision problems connected to brain tumors do not feel like regular eye strain or fatigue. Instead, they show up in ways that seem strangely specific, and your eyes often notice the trouble long before you fully understand what is happening. You may catch yourself squinting at objects that used to be clear, or realizing that parts of your visual field seem to fade or shift without warning. Many people describe moments when the edges of their vision feel dim, or when they momentarily lose sight of objects on one side. These details matter because they often point to pressure near the optic pathways deep inside your brain. Doctors explain that the visual system is one of the most sensitive networks in the human body, and even slight pressure from a growing mass can change the way you see. This is why symptoms such as blurred vision, double vision, flashing lights, or partial vision loss should never be dismissed. Studies from leading neurological clinics in the United States show that patients with early brain tumors frequently report losing their peripheral vision or seeing shadows that are not really there. They often assume it is a sign of aging or a simple need for new glasses, but the real cause can be far more serious. The important part is understanding how your brain processes visual information and how easily that process can be disrupted. If you notice that reading becomes harder, judging distance feels more challenging, or your vision seems to shift even when you are resting, these are signs that deserve attention. Your brain uses your eyes as early messengers, and these changes often appear before more advanced symptoms show up. Some individuals shared that they ignored months of subtle blurriness until one day they could not see the outer edge of a stop sign while driving. That moment forced them to seek help, and it revealed a tumor pressing against their optic nerve. Recognizing these subtle visual shifts early can protect your long-term health. But knowing this still is not enough, because the next warning reaches even deeper into who you are and can change your personality without you realizing it. Number 5, personality changes. As vision changes can quietly reshape how you see the world, the next sign reaches even deeper because personality changes linked to brain tumors can alter how you respond to the world itself. This sign often feels confusing, not only to you, but especially to those around you. You may begin reacting to situations in ways that do not match your usual behavior. You might feel more irritated by small things or suddenly lose interest in activities that once brought you joy. These shifts can appear slowly at first, yet they often grow stronger over time. And that pattern is exactly what makes this sign so important to recognize early. Doctors in the United States explain that the frontal lobe controls emotion decision-making and social behavior, and even light pressure in this region can change how you think and feel. This is why family members are often the first to notice something unusual. They may ask why you seem distant, why your reactions feel sharper than before, or why your sense of judgment appears different. Studies from major neurological institutes show that patients with early tumor-related personality changes often describe feeling disconnected from their emotions, as if they were watching themselves from the outside. These moments can feel unsettling because they do not match the rhythm of your daily life. If you find yourself becoming unusually impulsive or making decisions that feel rushed or out of character, it is worth paying attention. The brain reveals stress through emotion long before physical symptoms appear, and these emotional shifts can serve as powerful indicators that something deeper is happening. People who later received a diagnosis often shared stories of sudden anger or unexpected sadness that did not make sense at the time. They thought it was stress or fatigue, yet those episodes were early signs of pressure on the emotional centers of the brain. Understanding these changes gives you a clearer sense of what your body is trying to tell you. But only knowing this is still not enough, because the next sign quietly affects your ability to think and remember, and it becomes even more dangerous when it is mistaken for normal aging. Number 6, cognitive and memory problems. As personality changes can quietly shift how you react and feel, the next sign moves directly into how you think, and cognitive and memory problems linked to brain tumors often appear long before you realize something deeper is happening. This is why this sign is frequently mistaken for aging, stress, or simple forgetfulness, even though the cause can be far more serious. You may notice that it becomes harder to follow conversations, harder to stay focused, or harder to remember details that used to come to you instantly. These changes do not arrive all at once. They build slowly, and that slow rise is exactly what makes them so easy to overlook. Doctors explain that the frontal and temporal regions of the brain control short-term memory planning and decision-making, and when pressure builds inside these areas, your mental clarity begins to fade in ways that feel frustrating and unfamiliar. You might reread the same line in a book without absorbing anything, or lose the thread of a conversation halfway through. Some people find themselves missing appointments, forgetting everyday tasks, or struggling to organize simple responsibilities. What makes this sign especially important is that it progresses faster than normal aging, and it does not improve even when you rest or try to slow down. Research from neurological centers in the United States shows that patients with early tumor-related memory issues often describe feeling mentally foggy, as though their thoughts were moving through heavy air. They sometimes struggle with multitasking or feel overwhelmed by tasks that once felt easy. These changes are your brain's way of signaling that something is interfering with the pathways you rely on every day. And catching these disruptions early gives you the chance to seek evaluation, while treatment options are still more effective. If you notice a growing pattern of forgetfulness, confusion, or difficulty reasoning, do not dismiss it as simply getting older. Your mind knows its normal pace, and when that pace shifts, it is important to listen. Several patients later diagnosed with a tumor recalled months of unexplained mental fog that they ignored because they believed it was part of aging. That delay cost them valuable time. But knowing this warning still is not enough, because the next sign affects your physical strength in a way that demands immediate attention. Number 7, numbness and weakness. As cognitive and memory problems can quietly slow your thinking, the next warning becomes far more physical, because numbness and weakness related to brain tumors often appear when your brain can no longer send clear command to specific parts of your body. This sign does not feel like ordinary fatigue or a muscle you slept on wrong. Instead, it shows up as a strange heaviness or tingling that stays longer than it should. You may feel a pins and needles sensation in one arm or leg, or notice that one side of your body seems weaker even when you try to push through it. These early shifts are important because they reveal that something is interfering with the pathways controlling movement and sensation. Doctors in the United States explain that the brain controls opposite sides of the body, so a tumor on the left can weaken the right side, and a tumor on the right can weaken the left. This creates a pattern that feels confusing at first. You might drop your keys, struggle to lift a grocery bag, or feel your hands shake when you try to button your shirt. What makes this sign especially concerning is that it does not improve with rest or changes in posture. The issue is not in the limb itself. The issue is inside the brain, where pressure disrupts your normal signal flow. Neurological studies show that many adults who later learned they had a brain tumor first noticed subtle clumsiness. They tripped on flat surfaces or found themselves gripping objects too lightly without meaning to. At first, they blamed aging, tiredness, or low energy, but the symptoms continued day after day. These ongoing changes reveal that the brain is struggling to coordinate movement, and when they progress, they can limit your ability to perform even simple daily tasks. If you begin to experience numbness that spreads, weakness that stays, or tingling on just one side of your body, it is important not to ignore it. Several individuals shared that their earliest warning came from a brief moment when their hands suddenly felt numb while cooking, or their leg felt weak during a routine walk, and only later did they learn what their body had been trying to signal. But only knowing this is still not enough, because the next sign affects your balance and coordination in ways that can be far more dangerous. Number 8, balance and coordination problems. As numbness and weakness can disrupt your physical strength, the next sign goes even further, because balance and coordination problems linked to brain tumors can quietly change the way you move through the world. This sign often appears in everyday situations that used to feel simple. You may notice that walking in a straight line suddenly requires more focus, or that your body drifts to one side even when you feel like you are standing evenly. These changes do not happen randomly. They occur because the cerebellum, the part of your brain responsible for smooth movement and coordination, is one of the most sensitive areas when pressure begins to build. Doctors explain that the cerebellum controls balance, posture, and fine motor skills. So when a tumor affects this region, even small tasks become harder. You may feel unsteady when turning around quickly, or find that writing, tying your shoes, or using utensils suddenly demands more concentration. Some people describe moments when the floor feels uneven, or when simple steps feel unpredictable. What makes this sign especially important is that it often arrives gradually, which means it can be mistaken for fatigue, aging, or even inner ear issues. Research from neurological centers in the United States shows that patients with early tumor-related coordination issues often recall a sense of being off balance, as if their body were reacting a split second too slowly. They may stumble on familiar paths or lose confidence in their ability to judge distance. These subtle disruptions are not just accidents. They are clear signals that the brain is struggling to maintain its usual control over movement, and that something is interfering with your natural rhythm. If you notice repeated episodes of stumbling, swaying, or difficulty coordinating your hands and feet, especially during routine activities, it is important to pay attention. Several individuals later diagnosed with a brain tumor shared that their first clue was a strange moment when they felt dizzy while stepping off a curb or struggled to keep their balance while standing still. They thought it would pass, but it did not. But only knowing this is still not enough, because the full picture of brain health depends on recognizing all 8 warning signs before it is too late. You have just learned the 8 subtle signs that your brain may be trying to warn you about, and each one carries an important message about your health and safety. From persistent headaches to changes in balance, these signals matter because your body never sends them without a reason. The most important thing to remember is simple. Early awareness gives you power. The sooner you recognize unusual symptoms, the sooner you can speak with a healthcare provider and take action that may protect your long-term well-being. You are not alone in this, and caring for your health is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and your family. Although the idea of brain-related symptoms can feel frightening, there is hope in knowing that medical science today offers more options and better outcomes than ever before. Many people who listened to their early signs received help in time and went on to live active and fulfilling lives. You deserve that same chance, and every step you take toward understanding your body puts you in a stronger position. If you noticed any symptoms that feel familiar, do not ignore them. Write them down, observe how often they appear, and talk to a medical professional who can guide you safely. Small changes in awareness can lead to big changes in health. And remember, improving your lifestyle today can also support your brain health, including regular sleep, a balanced diet, safe exercise, and ongoing medical checkups. In the next video, you will discover simple daily habits that support brain clarity and reduce long-term risks, especially for older adults. Do not miss it. If you found this video helpful, please save it so you can review these signs anytime, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe now to receive the newest medical guidance and senior health tips that can help you stay strong, informed, and protected every day. You deserve the knowledge that keeps you safe.